You think you should probably start investing, but you're not sure why, and you're not really sure how. But you're in the right place. Hi, and welcome back to the channel. My name is Pete Matthew, and I'm a chartered financial planner based here in the UK. And I've been helping people understand how money works for over a decade here on YouTube. I had brown hair when I started. So maybe you've heard that you should invest some money, but you're not really sure why. So let's address that. Think of investing as putting money away so that you can spend it in the future instead of now. The problem with that is that everything is going to be more expensive in future thanks to inflation. So if a pint of beer costs £5 now, then in 10 years it's going to cost how much? We don't know. But we do know it's going to be more than £5. So if you put your £5 note in an envelope in your bedside drawer and you earmark it to buy a pint in 10 years' time, it's not going to be enough. So we have to make the £5 grow by at least as much as inflation, and ideally more. Now to do that, we just can't leave the money in the bedside drawer, and we can't just leave it in the bank either. Why? Because the interest that banks and building societies will give you is usually less than the rate of inflation. So it just won't grow enough to buy that pint in the future. Instead, the bank is where we store money that we're going to need in the short term, maybe the next couple of years, because over that short time scale, inflation doesn't really figure that much. So to preserve the buying power of our money into the future, we need to invest. So how do we get started? Well, fortunately, it's easier than ever, and you don't need loads of money to get started. In fact, chances are that you're already investing, even if you're not taking much of an active interest in it. Because if you're employed by somebody else, you will have been automatically enrolled into the pension scheme at work. Now, you might have opted out, and if you have, promise me you will rejoin the pension as soon as you can. A pension like this is just a long-term savings plan, but with some really seriously useful benefits. Instead of paying tax on whatever you put in, the tax goes into your pension. It's like the government paying in for you. Also, your employer will pay in. So that's extra money that they're not paying you if you're not in the pension. And the way the numbers work, for every £1 you put into the pension up to a certain limit, it's doubled overnight, essentially, by money from the government and your employer. So the price of that amazing benefit, pretty much doubling your money overnight, the price of it is that you can't access your pension until your late 50s. But still, £5 goes in, it becomes £10. And that gives you a hell of a head start in your race against inflation. But maybe you want to start investing somewhere where you don't have to wait potentially decades to access your money. And for that, you need a stocks and shares ISA. And these are so easy to open, you can do it in 5 minutes or less on any one of a number of online platforms. Now I want you to think as an investor in 3 levels. First is the platform. That's the website that allows you to log in and see your accounts. Accounts, these are holders for your investments. So an ISA is an account and so is a pension, and there are other types too. The different kinds of accounts are usually differentiated by taxation and access. So we've got platform, then accounts, and then inside those we've got funds. And these are the investments that are right inside the account, and it's these that are going to make your money grow. So here's what you need to do, step by step. Number 1, choose a platform and register for it. Number 2, open a stocks and shares ISA account, and maybe a lifetime ISA too. I'll explain that in just a sec. Number 3, set up a direct debit to pay into your account on the day you get paid each month, or the day after. And then step 4, choose which fund you're going to invest in. Now, there's a bit of detail you're going to need underneath each one of those, and I'm going to briefly go into each of the 4 steps in just a second and give you some links to resources that will help you, including some other videos. All the links will be in the description too. But the great thing is that you can start this process. You can become an investor with as little as, say, £25 a month with most of the major platforms. So we've got Hargreaves Lansdown, AJ Bell, Interactive Investor. These are big player platforms, and they all have 25 quid a month minimums. Okay, if this is useful so far, you know what to do. Like the video and subscribe to the channel if you're not already. But also, I've prepared a free cheat sheet on how to get started investing. It goes into platforms, accounts, fees, and then some accelerators on how to build wealth more quickly. It's the top link in the description under the video, so check it out. So step one is to choose a platform. Which one you choose comes down to whether or not you like the feel and the look of the website, but it also comes down to costs. When you're starting out, it's usually the most cost effective to choose a platform with a percentage-based fee. So Hargreaves Lansdown, for example, will charge you 0.45% per year on whatever you invest with them. Well, 0.45% of not a lot is not a lot, right? If you're just getting started. So if you put 25 quid a month in for a year, you'll have paid in £300 after 1 year, and you'll have paid maybe £1.50 in costs. Now, when your accounts get bigger, you might want to look at a platform that charges a fixed monthly fee. Check out the Boring Money guide to platforms, and they have comparison tables there. It's one of the links in the description. So just choose a platform and register. It'll take you seconds. And if you're worried about getting it wrong, don't be, because you can always transfer your money to a different platform later on. Step two is to open an ISA, because really the only account most of us need, except for our pension, is a stocks and shares ISA. And that's as opposed to a cash ISA, which is just a bank account that happens to be tax-free. But remember what I said about bank accounts. We only use them for money we're going to need in the short term, not for investing for the future. So your stocks and shares ISA is where we're going to build wealth for the longer term. And the stocks and shares part of the name just refers to what's inside it. Now I'll get to that in just a second. There is another kind of ISA called a lifetime ISA, which many platforms offer. If you're under age 40, you can open one of these. And if you haven't bought your first home yet, then these are a great idea. And to be honest, even if you have bought your first home, they're worth considering. Because you see, you can put up to £4,000 a year into a lifetime ISA, and the government will add 25% on top of whatever you put in. So if you put the full £4,000 in, they're going to add £1,000, making your balance £5,000. The catch, of course, is that you can only access that money for buying your first home or after age 60. If you access it for any other reason, you're going to pay a 25% charge on whatever you take out. Now, the overall ISA allowance is £20,000, and that includes the £4,000 you can pay into a lifetime ISA. But when you register for your platform, you're going to be asked to open an account. Start with either the lifetime ISA or the ordinary ISA, and we'll move on to the next step, which is to set up a direct debit. You will be asked how you're going to add money into your new account. So if you happen to have a lump sum that's burning a hole in your bank account, that's straightforward enough. You can just send it to your new investment account, or usually you can even pay in just by a debit card. But I suggest you set up a direct debit and you time it to go out from your bank on the day you get paid, or maybe the day after. Decide on how much you're going to pay in. Whatever figure you're thinking of, add a little bit to it, because then it's just a little bit uncomfortable. But pretty soon you won't even notice the money is gone, because you never really get a chance to spend it anyway. You get paid, it goes out, job done. So finally, you're going to need to choose a fund that we're going to invest in. It's this that goes inside your ISA. Now, I put links to a couple of videos in the description because we're already a few minutes into this video and I don't want it to get too long. But if you've followed the steps up until now, you've chosen a platform, you've opened an ISA, and you've set up your direct debit, you are already doing brilliant work. You're already an investor. But you want to choose a fund which is low cost and which spreads your money all around the world into lots of different kinds of things. Now, the free cheat sheet that I mentioned gives you more detail on this, and there's more links to explore this stuff. As this video goes live, we're approaching the end of the tax year, so this is the perfect time to take action and start paying money into an ISA. But again, don't worry about choosing the wrong fund. You can always change your mind later. The platforms make it really easy to switch between funds, and of course, in an ISA, there's no tax implications of doing those switches. So it really is easier than you think to get started as an investor. And really, the best way to learn is by doing. Put some real money in there. Start small, and then learn as you go. I hope this was useful. There is tons more on this channel about investing and building wealth, but I suggest you start with this video because it'll inspire you as to what is possible even when you start small. But thanks for watching this one. Like the video and subscribe to the channel if it was useful, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.